What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10, and he has finally returned, Mr. Nick Franco. What is up, my dude?
It's good to be back on the channel, man. It's been way too long, way too long.
For sure. We've been talking about doing this topic for like months, and we just always push it off with our schedules and whatnot. But it is top 10 albums of 2011. Both of ourselves, that's a pretty significant year. I started high school. You had some other stuff going on if you want to talk about too, real quick.
Yeah, my daughter was born
Yeah. Nice.
in
That's a
2011.
big thing. That's a big thing.
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, pretty cool year. I mean, not the strongest year ever, but as usual, if you dig deep enough, you can find a lot of cool albums. And that's what we did here. We're going to give you our top 10. So we'll kick it off with Nick and just go back and forth as usual.
All right. Well, my first one, I know, brace yourselves, everybody, is from Norway. I know that's so strange for me, but I'm going with the pagan slash folk slash Viking metal band Einherjar, or as most people call them, Einherjar, and their album Noran. This album is sort of a comeback album for them, and they hadn't been too active at all. And they basically they came back with this very strong effort. It's my number 10. It's kind of like excellent guitar solos, double bass drums, almost like a traditional metal blueprint, but then they have like the sort of the chanting vocals and growled vocals. Definitely a battlefield feeling of medieval stories from the Nordic culture. So I have to go with these guys. They're good guys too. I've met them, interviewed one of them. Great guys and excellent musicians with a heart of old school metal. So the Viking stuff, the folk stuff doesn't really take away from the metalness of it. So a good old Einherjar Norden.
Nice, nice. I've never heard of them, so I'll have to check that out.
You'd like them.
But cool. My first choice, number 10, is going to be Blood Magic Necromance from Belphegor. Super heavy band, blackened death metal. They're from Austria. Really, still to this day, it's probably the heaviest band I've ever seen live. Saw them at a pretty small club a couple years back with Dark Funeral. It was a really cool show, and just another really good album from them. So that is my number 10.
Awesome. Yeah, they're heavy as hell.
Yeah.
For my number 9, I'm coming back to the good old USA, and I'm going with the album, the band High Spirits. I didn't take it out of the plastic, but the album is called Another Night, and it is the brainchild of one Christopher Black. That man has been in a million bands, generally pretty underground. He actually I believe he used to write for Metal Maniacs way back in the day. He is a musician and quite the talent. The High Spirits could best be described as power metal with almost, it might be the closest, I don't want to say glam because it's not glam, but it's like rock. It's like metal and rock. You got the solos, you got the twin guitar harmonies, and the really just the choruses that stay in your ear. Some of the best songs on it are Another Night in the City, Full Power, Nights in Black, and You Make Love Impossible, which is like a pretty fun, probably an ode to some ex-girlfriend or something. But anyway, High Spirits is underappreciated, underrated band. And I think anybody into that spectrum of traditional metal, power metal, and 80s hair metal would love it, which means you.
Yeah, that's a cool band for sure. Yeah, they were at Hell's Heroes.
Yes.
Yeah, so really cool band. Good pick. That's a good pick.
Thank you.
But my number 9, I'm going to go with Eve to Dawn by Loudness. Just amazing Japanese metal band. For a long time, they were my favorite from Japan. It was taken over by a different band, which you might hear about in a little bit here. But Akira Takasaki is an absolute machine on the guitar. This album, a lot of shredding, typical stuff. They were pretty heavy at this point, still heavy right now, but their longtime drummer had passed away, not too long before this. So you can kind of hear it in the music. They have that anger within them, probably sad, but that's Minetika Higuchi, who passed away. You got Akira Takasaki, who's a great guitarist. Minoru Nohara still sounds really good on the vocals after like 30 years. He's still pretty much as strong as he ever was. But a couple standout tracks I've got for this one, The Power of Truth, Come Alive Again, just really top to bottom, really strong album. So that is my number 9.
Nice. I am staying in the United States for my number 8, to Virginia, and to bad lighting, Deceased. Deceased should be a name familiar to everybody. If you're not familiar with them, shame on you. They are one of the most consistent forces in underground metal to ever exist. And this album is called Surreal Overdose. And it just continues a tradition of really meaty songs filled with all kinds of phenomenal guitar solos and riffs for days. They are, they're helmed by King Fowley, who may be the single most dedicated, hardworking musician in the underground, who just absolutely loves. He'll just get up in front of, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people. I've seen them with 10 people at a show. I've seen them, with bigger crowds. They always give you the same performance. Surreal Overdose continues their tradition of horror themed speed metal with like a death metal underbelly and thrash. Deceased always brings it, and Surreal Overdose has some fantastic moments that I of course forgot the names of the songs that I love. Cloned Day of the Robot is freaking awesome. The whole album, really. I'm not going to just name it. Every song is good. They're very influenced by Voivod. So he loves Voivod. So there's a little bit of that in there. So I got to definitely recommend my number 8, Surreal Overdose by Deceased.
Cool. My number 8, I'm going to go with Wrath Upon the Earth by Svartsen. Amazing Swedish black metal band. It's basically a one-man project. The dude's name's Orneus. I've talked about him a bunch on here because they're one of my favorite black metal bands. Just really raw, really amazing tone from this guy on his guitar, great riffs. He's got one of the most evil sounding voices I've ever heard. Pretty much just like, if you imagine what a demon sounds like, like that's just what I imagine it sounded like. But this guy is awesome. Great musician, some standout tracks. I've got Wrath of Leviathan, My Mountain, and Death Swarmed. But a lot of great stuff from top to bottom there. Amazing, raw black metal from Sweden. So that's my number 8, Wrath Upon the Earth by Svartsen.
This is the second video you and I have done together where I've forgotten Svartsen. So yeah, I feel like an asshole. They're amazing. Mm-hmm. Number 7, we are leaving the United States for my usual haunts of Norway, and we're going with Shooter, the black metal band Shooter, and the album, of course, is Legion Helvete. And it's funny, I love this band so much that like this might be my least favorite Shooter album, and yet it makes it into the top 10 of the year it came out. These guys are like Hellhammer, super fast, that type of like no keyboards, black metal, but you'll headbang your ass off. It's not like a shitload of blast beats. They really know how to make a song with hooks. And the wonderful Slacht, the Demon Throne, Fraten Raten Christe. I probably just cursed in Norwegian and conjured something in my room. But anyway, they're pretty satanic. But yeah, these guys are awesome. Black metal power trio. And I highly recommend everybody that likes that filthy, no frills black metal. Very few bands do it better than Shooter.
Nice. Yeah, as of the recording of this video, they actually played by my house last night, and I didn't go, unfortunately. I apologize, Nick, but I should have been there.
We should have been there together.
We should have been there. True.
Yeah, I should have got my ass down there.
True. But I'll have to look up some clips. I haven't seen any from that show. I bet it was amazing. If anybody watching was there, let us know. But cool. My number 7 is Dystopia by Iced Earth. Awesome band. They're, one of my favorites of all time. The 2 albums they put out previous to this, I didn't love. So this one was kind of like a return to form for me as far as liking the music. They got Stu Block on vocals, the first one with him. You got the typical amazing, galloping, fast, precise riffing from John Schaefer. Just really top to bottom, a lot of cool stuff on the album. Boiling Point, Dark City, Days of Rage might be my favorite. Just really kind of short, aggressive, quick hitting song, but it's really cool and really good album. Not quite as good as Dystopia by Megadeth, I will say, but it is right up there as the second best Dystopia album, and I've got it number 7 here. So yeah, cool stuff.
Nice. Love Iced Earth. Awesome. Number six, I'm treading on very familiar territory. Those who know me and my tastes will not be surprised that Amorphous, the beginning of times, one of their, man, I really got the bad lighting today. Can't make my album stand out. Whatever. The beginning of times is they were really getting into their own with their not so new singer, Tommy Utzen. By now he'd been in the band 6 years, a couple album cycles under his belt. So beginning of times has a lot of they Amorphous always tries to be like, they'll have like their heavy songs, but I feel like they're at their best when they add those beautiful melodic choruses, which this album has plenty of. Deep tracks like On a Stranded Shore and Escape are just ear candy for days. And then you have Song of the Sage, really Mermaid. These are like real, just they're melodic. I run out of words to describe them. I keep saying melodic, but they find a way to mix melody with heaviness and make it flow in a way that is just incredible. So the beginning of times, not like one of the top Amorphous albums of all time, but one of the strongest albums of this year for sure. So the beginning of times by my Finnish boys, Amorphous.
Nice. My number six, I'm gonna go with my boys, Megadeth. 13. Now, this one, some people hate on this album. It's definitely not their strongest by any means, but again, for me, an album that's probably not even a top 10 Megadeth album makes the top 10 of the year for me personally. You still got Dave Mustaine there writing songs, so it's gonna be good. A lot of cool stuff on here. I mean, Sudden Death and Never Dead are both amazing. Black Swan's a pretty cool song. We the People have always liked a lot. Guns, Drugs, and Money. But Chris Broderick, Sean Drover, this was the return of David Ellefson after he was out of the band for a while, and now, as everybody knows, he's out of the band again due to some stuff. But yeah, that's a cool album. I've always dug it a lot. I actually remember listening to that like in high school when I would go to like study hall before school opened. I'm like sitting there in the hallway listening to it and stuff. But great album. 13 by Megadeth, number 6.
You were in study hall when that came out?
Yeah.
Oh God, I feel so old. Yeah, Megadeth, if you look at like the original Big Four, like I don't know, man. I think they retain their integrity like by miles, way more than the other ones. All right, number 5 for me. Back to Norway from Finland. Back to Norway to Vride, which is the band that came out of the ashes of Windir. This is black and roll, they call it. So, you have your black metal vocals, but traditional heavy metal riffs, and just unbelievable songs with great solos. And they really keep the it's not, you can put this album on and get something from it every time you listen. It's not like repetitive same shit. Fire on the Mountain, The Others, and The Look, which is a weird name. Welcome to the Asylum, Wolverine Bastards, The Sound of the River, the whole album. These guys, to me, never make a misstep. They really, really, really kick ass. And if you want some neck snapping, good old heavy metal with a bit of a black metal veneer on it, Vride is the way to go. And the album is called 5. So yeah, it's super awesome. I can't recommend it enough.
Nice. Cool. So my number 5, I'm going to go with Noregs Vapen by Take. So I'm going over to Norway now. Really cool. The band, as far as the studio stuff goes, like there's only one official member. He goes by the name Host. But this guy's a great musician, great songwriter. This album, very bleak, great musicianship. There's some big names that actually feature on the album, some vocal parts. You got Demon Az, Attila, Nocturnal Culto from other very prominent black metal projects and bands. But, there's even like some really unique and cool instrumentation on here. Like there's a banjo that goes on in the song MYR, which, this guy makes a banjo sound evil and just amazing, which is crazy. So Yeah, the other songs like I can barely pronounce, but the first one is really amazing. Just pretty much put you in a trance. Just very amazing, melodic, great stuff there. So, yeah, great album. Norex Vapen Take number 5.
Cool, because my number 4 is that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
And yeah, everything you said. Um, I saw them perform twice. Once just this past year in Finland at Steel
Oh
Fest,
wow,
and yeah, and I actually
nice.
saw them at a little club in Brooklyn, New York called St. Vitus some years ago, and they were amazing, amazing, amazing. They did a Gigi Allen cover, and it was freaking awesome. But yeah, they're a really good band. They're like super, super dark, but they keep that catchiness, like you said, the instrumentation, really awesome. So good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good pick by you as well. But my number 4, I'm going to go with Heraldic Device by Anthem. And this is the band I referred to earlier as overtaking as my favorite band from Japan. Really, they're just an absolute machine. Pretty much every single album is awesome. Their guitarist they've had since the 92 album Domestic Booty. His name is Akio Shimizu, and he is an absolute shredder. Our buddy Butch Jones, a big fan of Anthem, and Akio as well. He's got good taste because this band is incredible. Really, they got the nickname the Japanese Judas Priest, and that's, you know, they earn that because great heavy riffs, amazing blistering fast guitar solos. The production on these albums is fantastic. The songs are well written and constructed. But a couple tracks I got written down as favorites, probably The Sign, Contagious, Go, and Rockbound. But again, really just fantastic all over the album. So yeah, that is my number 4, Heraldic Device Anthem.
I got to check them out. You guys keep talking about them. Now,
Yes.
did you say the album is called Domestic Duty or Domestic Booty?
Domestic Booty
Like with a D?
with a B.
Oh, Booty.
DB, Domestic Booty. That was actually that came out in 92, and that was produced by Chris Sangrides, who produced Painkiller. So it's got that big,
Oh,
like aggressive, just beast of a sound. People call it like Painkiller 2.
oh, wow.
So yeah, I'd recommend that one for sure.
Absolutely. Don't got to tell me twice.
Mm.
Number 3, I'm remaining in Norway. And I have the vinyl on this one. It's the band is called Helheim, and as you can see from the Ravens, it is epic Viking metal. No surprise there. The album in English is called Paganism and Conflict. I'm not going to attempt it, and they use Icelandic.
Wow.
Yeah, you might as well like pronounce, a nuclear explosion. It's a very difficult language, but it's a beautiful. It kind of scratches the itch of like Older Enslaved, but I mean, they got their vocals are so good. The vocalist, I'm probably going to get this wrong. Somebody in this band plays live with Toka that we just talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's Vagander. And he's like pretty much this is his band. And I got to chat with him at Beyond the Gates this year. Really great guy. And if for some reason you watch this, buddy, it was nice to meet you. Yeah, they Helheim formed in 92. So this is their 7th album. And they come from that very beginning of the black metal scene. They definitely took the music in a more pagan Viking historical nationalist direction of celebrating the culture that they came from as opposed to like Satanism. I don't know, a lot of their lyrics are in Norwegian, but or Icelandic, depending on the album. And I got to say, if you love Older Enslaved, you will love Helheim. They're absolutely in the same category and just an incredibly diverse, awesome effort. So Paganism and Conflict by Helheim.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So for my number 3, I'm going to go over to Poland, and I'm going to go with the album Winter Moon Enchantment by Evil Feast.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, really, really amazing one-man atmospheric black metal project here. The dude goes by the name Grim Spirit. So, it's just dark, very, again, well-constructed music. The way the keyboards are incorporated into it just gives it a really unique and cool sound, I feel like. There's some really like aggressive, heavy stuff that, is typical of black metal, but then you got the really serene, just atmospheric, amazing sound that you get with the atmospheric black metal. A lot of times, people think black metal is just like solely like scary, evil stuff, but a lot of times it sounds beautiful. just what, the keyboards and all the stuff that blends in with it. And this is a great example of that, a nice blend of the two. But a lot of cool tracks here. Full Moon Over the Eastern Woods, Tradition, Heritage, Destiny, and probably The Wind and the Old Willows are a couple favorites there. But it's like an hour and 8 minutes of just pure atmospheric black metal greatness. And that is my number 3 there, Winter Moon Enchantment.
That's awesome. I could kick myself for forgetting that. Awesome. I am remaining in Norway one more time for my old favorites, Campfire, one of the original gangsters of black metal out of Norway. Campfire, and the album is called Mare. This is another example of a band that is just beastly good. The awesome Ildstemmer will have mosh pits going. They have this, what's the song I love? Blitzwitch, Volvavares, because God forbid anything should be easy to say, but that's cool. That's part of the charm. They definitely stick to their native tongue most of the time. This is very, very like old school black metal, but again, the type of black metal that we're talking about here has more in common with traditional metal than the titles and names make people think, oh, it's got, listen, it's just another language, just another culture. But the music itself has more to do with, really well constructed heavy metal with just the fast drums. But Campfire is one of those magical bands that just gets it, and everything they put out is great. So Mara was awesome. That's my number 2.
Sweet. My number 2, I'm going to go with March of the Norse by Demonaz, which is his solo album that he put out in 2011. Really, really cool stuff. It's kind of like, it's like blackened Viking metal. So just really big epic sound. The melodies are awesome, very catchy material. The song All Black in the Sky is just absolutely majestic and amazing. The title track's great. The musicians he got for the album, you've got Armageddon on the drums, who was the drummer on the first Immortal album. He's great on it. You got Icedale, who is in Enslaved, a really great guitarist. I didn't write the bass player down. I feel like it might have been King Avhel, but I can't say 100%. But Armageddon did the, or not Armageddon, fucking Demonaz. Demonaz did the, all the lyrics, the vocals. So he does a great job here. And this is just an absolutely epic album. I did a list a long time ago, which was my top 10 albums where the band only has like one album. So it's the lone release. And I had this at number 1. So very awesome start to finish. March of the Norse, Demonaz, number 2.
Ooh, that's another one, man. I can't believe I forgot that one. According to Metal Archives, Icedale did both guitars and bass.
He did. Okay.
Yeah. That dude is super talented. Yeah, that's just a who's who of greatness in Norwegian black metal. That's phenomenal. So for my number 1, I'm actually leaving Scandinavia, holy shit, and coming over to Ireland to one of my favorite bands of all time, and possibly my favorite album by this band. And that, of course, is Primordial. Wow, look at that pure white thing. Yeah, they went with a white cover because it was a little more stark, a little more made the art stand out. But the album is called Redemption at the Puritan's Hand. And what can you say? This is epic, doomy, slightly black tinged epic metal of a sort that I don't know anybody that there's no other band like Primordial. Alan Averill, their vocalist, is one of the best in the game, whether it's his tortured, raspy, low end screaming or his like actual clean singing. The dude is a master of the microphone. You'll have to look long and hard to find better lyrics, references to history, references to all types of, like just awesomeness. There's really nothing I can say except listen to it. Songs like No Grave Deep Enough, Bloodied Yet Unbowed, The Unusual God's Old Snake, which is a sort of a satanic black metal reference, satanic reference with black metal influences. And then you have like just these long epic storytelling beauties, The Puritan's Hand and Death of the Gods. I mean, I could listen to this shit on repeat for forever till the day they lay me down. So it is most certainly far and away the best album of that year and many years. Primordial, Redemption at the Puritan's Hand. Check it out if you don't know it.
Nice. Well, for me, pretty easily, my number one album of the year. It's from my favorite modern metal band. I promote the shit out of them, talk about them a shit ton on here. Skullfist, Head of the Pack is the album. It is their debut full length. They did put out an EP, which is right here. I don't have a copy of the album Head of the Pack. This is the EP from 2010, which was their first EP, and then they put out the full length the year after, which is amazing. You got, Get Fisted is like one of their staple songs. They play live a lot. The title track's great. Ride the Beast, which is in my top 10 songs of all time. They've done several versions of it. This version is my favorite on this album. Just love the vocal melodies from Zach Slaughter, their vocalist and guitarist and, leader. He's a great musician, great singer. At this point, he's hitting just some ridiculous, crazy high notes, really cool voice, but Commit to Rock, Ride On, just some really catchy choruses, very great songs, great album. They actually even do a really cool cover of Attack Attack, which is a classic Tokyo Blade song. Just classic pure metal here. I've described them as being a blend of bands like Tokyo Blade, Dokken, Iron Maiden, Exciter, all blended into one. So if you like that, you need to check out Skullfist. If you don't know them by now, they are the best modern band going for that classic 80s sound, in my opinion. But that is my number one. And real quick, we can go through a few honorable mentions if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Falkenbach, Turida, which is like the Austrian folk metal. Remember that band called In Solitude? They were one of the first ones to make that like throwback retro metal with the creepy, like going for like the Merciful Fate kind of thing. The World of Flesh, the Devil by In Solitude. That was a damn good album. Raven Cult, black metal kind of album called Morbid Blood. Over to Germany, 14 Dark Centuries, Gizit Dar Faid. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Epic pagan metal. Forefather, English duo, Last of the Line, really good epic. More again, it was a real big time for pagan and folk metal because that seems to be everything. And Hellrunner from also from Germany, the album Soul.
Cool.
Yeah,
nice. For me, I'll just run through the bands real quick. We got Wolf, cool band. Some people credit them as being like the first new wave of traditional heavy metal band, but to me, they're a little bit too old to be considered that because they started in like 95, but great band regardless. Had a cool album that year. Saxon, Tokyo Blade, a couple others I wrote down, but that's about it for me. And as usual, Nick, it's a pleasure having you on, and got to do it again, of course.
Absolutely. Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And as usual, everybody, let us know what you thought about our picks. Give us your picks in the comments. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.